If you're new to mystery and you thought that you would start with the queen herself, Agatha Christie, I thought I would go through some of the books that I have read by her and tell you whether I think that they would be really good for you and what my thoughts were on some of those. So, my name is Claire. This is my channel, Unapologetic Reader. Let's get started. The first book that I have here is The Mystery of the Blue Train. This one is a Poirot, and I like this one. I will say that her characters can sometimes be a little flat, and her romances can be very unrealistic, but you still like the characters. You just can't help it. Even if you read them and go, that's not how a real person would act, or that's not something a grown woman would do, you still enjoy it for some reason. There's something about the way she writes that you just can't help but admire, okay? And in this book particularly, I really did enjoy the mystery, and even though the romance it's very much a subplot, and also it's a little far-fetched, you still enjoy it. And obviously I love Poirot, so I would say this one's a yes. I would go ahead and give this one a try. Oh, Charlie wants to share his thoughts too. Sad Cypress, this one is another Poirot. I really enjoyed this one. It is very sad, as the title would indicate, but it's still really good. This is actually one where she does better with her characters than, well, I wouldn't say better with the mystery, but I actually really enjoyed her characters in this one. You can kind of guess where she was in her own romantic journey, because she's definitely very disillusioned with romance in this one, but you still like who the main character ends up with. Now, I know that I'm talking about these like they're romances. They're not, but they still played a part in her books. It's often the motive for the murders within them. But I also really liked the mystery in it. I did not see which with most of hers, you don't know who did it until the very end, but I definitely didn't see it coming. So I really enjoyed this. I also really enjoyed the adaptation of this with David Suchet. He is the only Poirot. If you tell me that you have watched a Poirot, you had better be talking about David Suchet, because he is the master. Nobody else has come close to portraying this character like he does. And I will die on that hill. Okay, I just will. So my husband made me some cocoa, so we're going to be drinking a little bit of this while we go through here, because I mean, nothing says Agatha Christie like cocoa. Towards Zero. This one's actually not either a Poirot or a Miss Marple, which might be why I didn't like it. This one was a no for me. I didn't like any of the characters. I felt like they were all kind of unlikable, and I felt like the mystery was very far-fetched. I didn't like how they caught the person, and I didn't like how the person actually committed the crime. So this one was kind of a no for me. A Caribbean Mystery. This one's a Miss Marple, and I love this one. I love the setting. I love the characters. I had no idea who did it, and it's pretty short. Some of hers can be a little longer, but this one was very good. I think the best adaptation of this one is with Jane. I can't remember her last name. It's Jane something, and a lot of people will disagree with me on that. I know when I first started watching her, I used to watch these with my mom every Sunday because it was what we did. We went to church, we came home, we watched a British murder show, and we would watch someone with that actress, Jane something. And I remember when I first watched it, I didn't like it because I found her too clinical, too removed. I remember it was this adaptation specifically. At the end, she says something along the lines of, "I didn't listen, and there was a murder. Oh well." And I remember being angry about that at 15, 16, and thinking, I don't like her because she doesn't, she's too heartless. And the older I got and the more I went back and watched those, I was like, I love her character. She's so practical. She can look at something and see it for what it is. And in that moment, while I at 16 wanted her to feel terrible because she didn't listen properly at that moment, as I got older, I realized, no, she's absolutely right. She recognized that her actions had consequences, but there's nothing she can do about that. So I really like that. I like both the adaptation and the book. A Murder is Announced is another Miss Marple. This one's a maybe. I did like it. I did like the mystery. You don't necessarily see it coming, and the characters are very good, but I don't know that it earns its pages. I think that's the best way to put it. It is a little slower. It's an Agatha Christie, so it's not fast-paced by any means, but it's still good. So I would say maybe. I wouldn't start with this one for sure. A Cat Among the Pigeons. This one's a Poirot, and it's also a no for me. I think, well, for different reasons. First of all, Poirot's hardly in it. One of the characters goes to him at like the last 3 chapters, which was very frustrating for me because I love Poirot and I want him to be a central character. I actually remember reading something, I think that Agatha Christie had written herself, talking about her character Poirot and how she actually hated him sometimes because she had just written him kind of on a whim, and then she became just saddled with him and she had to keep writing all of these mysteries that included him. So you can kind of tell in some of her books where she was just done writing books that centered around her detective. But we love her detective, so when she does that, I'm not as invested. So this one for me was a no. I didn't think the mystery was very believable, and I didn't have my favorite detective, so yeah. At Bertram's Hotel, this one's a Miss Marple. This one actually took me by surprise because obviously I'd seen the adaptation and I didn't love it. I didn't love the adaptation, and I knew the mystery, I knew the characters, but I still wanted to read it just because I want to read all of her books. And so when I got into it, I was shocked that I actually really enjoyed it because the atmosphere was so good. This one's set at a hotel in London, and it's very, it's Miss Marple goes to stay there, and at first she's very enchanted with it because it's a hotel that hasn't really changed from her childhood. So she steps into it and it's like stepping into her past. But then she starts to notice that things aren't quite right. And so the mystery continues. My foot's falling asleep. So I really enjoyed it. I think one of the reasons I enjoyed it was actually her description of the food, which, I mean, as you can see kind of on the cover, you have like a little tea tray, and I don't know why that kind of made it, but it did. Like, she took time to describe the food they were eating, and I was like, oh, I want to go. So I enjoyed this one. I thought it was very good. Dumb Witness. This one is a Poirot. I'm gonna say maybe. I didn't love the mystery in this one. It's not that I saw who it was. I just, at the end, wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It was just kind of more like, oh, okay. And I didn't love the characters, but it was still a good time, and you were invested in it. You want to know. And obviously it's set in the English countryside, so it's good. The idea is that this Jack Russell Terrier, I think that's the type of dog it is. See if it's on the back. I don't see it, but I'm pretty sure that's what kind of dog it is. He helps Poirot solve this mystery, And so, you know, obviously being a dog lover, I was sold on it and I enjoyed it, but I would say maybe. I wouldn't start with this. This is another one that's a little longer for her. It's about 300 pages, so, you know, it is a little longer. Taken at the Flood. This one is also a Poirot. Now this one, I enjoyed the mystery, but I didn't like her characters. And here's the thing. These were written in the 20s and 30s, and so some of the messaging to women isn't great, to say the least. And so sometimes the characters and the men that she has them end up with are not good. And there's a scene in this one particularly that I did not like with, if you can call, I think you can call her the FMC. It's kind of hard because she always follows a lot of different characters. Between her and another character that I didn't love, and they end up together. I don't think that gives anything away. And it was difficult for me after that to be super invested and not frustrated. It kind of makes me think of the Rodgers and Hammerstein movie Carousel. If you've seen it, I'm so sorry. That was when I'd watched Sound of Music, and I had seen State Fair, and I loved both of those. And then to watch Carousel, where he slaps her, and then she's like, "It felt like a kiss." I hate that. That is terrible messaging, and I do not approve. So there's kind of something similar to that in here. It's not the main message of the book. Obviously, the mystery was very good. It's definitely a mind turn, twisty one, but that kind of sours it for me. Nemesis. This one is also a Miss Marple. I like this one. I particularly like the adaptation again, but it was a little longer. The characters were good. They were solid. And the mystery was very good. It definitely had you invested. The adaptation definitely takes a different view of some of the characters, which I liked. I actually enjoyed the adaptation better than the representation in here, but it was still very good. I liked it. I would say again, probably don't start with Miss Marple on this one, but I would pick it up eventually. And then There Were None. This one also doesn't follow Poirot or Miss Marple, but so good. This one actually is kind of fast-paced and a little gruesome, honestly, but very good. If you can guess the ending, bravo, because I couldn't, and I really enjoyed it. There have been several adaptations of this, and obviously not by any of the characters that I follow, since it's not either Miss Marple or Poirot, but the most recent one that came out, which I say recent, I think it within the last 10 years, was with the character, obviously I can't remember actors' names, I'm sorry, but the guy who plays Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. That guy was in this adaptation that I really enjoyed. That I can't remember right now. But that is the only one that does this justice. There was an older one that was made in, I think, like the 1940s or 50s, black and white, that it was good. It was definitely, it took another spin on it, and it's a little happier at the end than this one is. But this one's really good and a little trippy, but I would definitely recommend it. It might be you might start with this one, maybe, if you can, if you just want to try out Agatha Christie, a standalone, neither of her detectives, then this might be a good one. And the last one that I've read is Murder on the Orient Express. This one is a Poirot. This one obviously has probably the most adaptations of it. The only good one is with David Suchet. I remember sitting in the theater when they came out with that new one a couple of years ago. My sister was like, shh, shh, because I'm like, what is he doing? Poirot doesn't do that. What that supposed to look like? They should have just asked David Suchet to come star in that one. I'm just saying. Okay, all right. Okay, not the point of this. Great mystery. This is another one that will definitely, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't know how it ends, I highly encourage you to go into this one blind, because I very much doubt that you will be able to guess the ending. Okay? But it is very, very good. And this might be the best one to start with. Honestly, it's a solid read. And it'll keep you on the edge of your toes trying to guess who did it. And I doubt that you will see the ending coming. Okay, so those are my recommendations for Agatha Christie. I'd like to know if you agree or disagree on that. I doubt you'll all agree with my adaptations of Miss Marple, but if you think that, if you agree with where I rank these, yes, no, or maybe, I'd love to know. I'd also like to know, if you have read them, which one I should read next, because I'm kind of thinking, and I think I have it over here. Let me put my cocoa down. That's right. I think I'm like right in front of it. I am. I think the one I want to read next, and I put this on my 26 for 2026, was Sleeping Murder, because this is another one where I really love the adaptation. So I think this will be my next one, but I'd like to know your thoughts on that. So please like and comment below, and if you haven't, please subscribe so I can continue creating content on here.